So Minneapolis just spent $2.8 billion. Not on a stadium, not on a highway, on a 14.5 mile stretch of light rail. That's the most expensive public project in the entire state's history. And quite frankly, a lot of people are really angry about it. So today, I'm going to be straight with you. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I'm just going to give you the facts. Let's get into it. So what did Minnesota actually build here? The Green Line extension, also called the Southwest LRT. It runs 14.5 miles from downtown Minneapolis to Eden Prairie. It has stops in St. Louis Park, Hopkins, Minnetonka, and Eden Prairie. 16 brand new stations along the way. The ride from Eden Prairie to downtown Minneapolis takes about 30 minutes. One seat, no transfers. That's actually a pretty good sell depending on how you're using it. Now, here's where it gets hard to defend. The original budget was $1.25 billion. It was supposed to open in 2023. Hang on to that private investment number and I'll hit it in a minute. Even if you hate this project right now, it's going to change how you see it. Stay with me for a little bit. So what happened? Well, what didn't happen is the thing. They've had problems with tunneling. You know, you had pandemic delays. Well, everybody had those. They had design changes, cost overruns. Basically, the whole project. It's easy to see why people are pretty mad, and they should be. The total has ballooned to $2.86 billion. The opening also is pushed to 2027. So we're at more than double the original price. We've had a 4-year delay. So the Minnesota legislator auditor documented all of it along the way. That's a nonpartisan government watchdog. You can trust these. These are actually facts. Now, as of early 2026, the project is over 90% complete. Trains are actually running tests. More than 4,000 safety tests still have to happen before anyone boards. No firm opening month has been set yet. That's the foundation. Now, let me tell you what I actually think. Real quick. If you're buying or selling near any of these stations, we can help. We work in these communities every single day. So click on the description down below and fill out the form, and we'll get back to you fast. So here's the thing. Most people in these communities, they don't want this light rail. They never did. It was forced upon them. They still went and dumped all that money in across 14.5 miles. That's a pretty expensive cost per mile. It's nearly $200 million per mile. That's a lot of money. Now, let's talk about ridership. So Metro Transit reported about 46.5 million total rides in 2024, which is up about 6% from the year before. It's still below pre-pandemic levels, especially on downtowner commuter routes. Here's the glaring issue. The people who live in Eden Prairie, Minnetonka, and these communities, they have cars. For the most part, they're going to use them. Pretty nice cars. They won't trade that for a train anytime soon. I've ridden the existing lines here in the metro just to see how well they work. And for most suburban commuters, it doesn't save that much time. You're better off driving and parking, and that's the honest truth. On top of that, there's real safety questions and concerns. There's been a ton of documented crime on the existing light rail lines. This line also has missed multiple opening targets already. I'm not saying it'll slip again, but if you're making a real estate decision based on 2027 being the opening day, build in some cushion. So those are the real concerns. Cost overruns, ridership questions, safety concerns, the timeline history that can't stick it to anything. All of that is true. What also is true is the data tells a story I can't ignore. So let's dig into that a little bit. So I have real doubts about this project. I still have to tell you what the numbers show. You can decide for yourself. The blue line opened back in 2004. It's about 20 years of real numbers to look at. The research on home prices near light rail is genuinely mixed. The Minneapolis Area Association of Realtors looked at blue line neighborhoods. Homes near the stations sold for around $220,000. Similar homes further out sold for around $194,000. Here's the number that's actually hard to argue with. The private market has already committed about $3 billion that's planned and permitted investment within a 10-minute walk of the line before a single passenger actually boards the train. So developers don't commit that kind of money on a guess. I can question whether the $2.86 billion was the right call. I really do question that, because again, it's a ton of money that could have been used for a lot of other things. But I also have to respect what the private market is saying. Both things are true. Now, let's look at what these stations mean for each community that they're in. So let's go neighborhood by neighborhood. St. Louis Park gets 3 stations: Louisiana Avenue, Wooddale Avenue, and Beltline Boulevard. St. Louis Park is already one of the hottest inner ring suburbs in the entire metro, with strong appreciation, great walkability, well-established neighborhoods, the West End, just a few things. It's got a lot of great things going for it. Adding 3 rail stations to a suburb that's already moving just accelerates things, in my opinion. But near one of those St. Louis Park stations, you're buying a wider pool of future buyers. Hopkins has 3 stations: Lake Road, Downtown Hopkins, and Shady Oak. Hopkins has been called the most underrated suburb in the metro for years. Quite frankly, I think it's pretty accurate. They've done a great thing with their downtown, the breweries, the restaurants, a lot of new builds going on down there. It's actually pretty cool. It's very walkable, the downtown. It's got a great community feel, and it has really attainable pricing. Rail access to downtown is a brand new story for Hopkins. It was not there before. It'll probably be hot after it's built. The Moline near downtown Hopkins Station is one example. Private developers are already betting on this Hopkins corridor. That tends to attract more of the same. Minnetonka's main stop is around the Opus business area. The Opus is one of the busiest employment hubs in the West Metro. Major corporate campuses, tons of jobs. Connecting that to downtown in about 30 minutes is the one part of this line that actually makes practical sense to me. However, I still think that it was way too expensive for this one silver lining. Eden Prairie gets 4 stations: Southwest, Town Center, Golden Triangle, and City West. Here's my honest take on Eden Prairie. The buyers out there have options. They really have probably some great cars. They have some really nice freeways. These Eden Prairie buyers aren't riding this train to work. I don't think that $2.86 billion was for them, but having that option still expands your buyer pool if you're a home seller. So you can look at it like an investment. You know, it's an investment for all these places that are getting the train. It brings in buyers who value that access. Even if you don't use it, the next buyer might. That's a big thing for resale. Speaking of that, let's see what it means for buyers. So here's why this matters right now if you're planning to buy. Any value tied to transit tends to build before opening. So once the trains are running, your opportunity really has passed. And that's the real story here. If you want to get in, you need to get in before the trains are running with people on those trains. If you don't do that, your opportunity is passed. Right now, the line is still in testing. We still have no official opening month, which really isn't a surprise. So that means most buyers aren't factoring this in yet with their purchases. That gap is where the opportunity can live. Make sure you understand the timeline. The line opens in 2027. Trains aren't carrying passengers yet. One piece of advice: don't buy near a station just because of the train. The home, the neighborhood, and your budget need to come first. What I'm saying is this: if you're already shopping in St. Louis Park, Hopkins, Minnetonka, or Eden Prairie, don't ignore this. It's an extra factor, far from the whole picture, however. In my opinion, a lot of these neighborhoods didn't need these stations at all. But that aside, let's flip to the seller's side. So if you own near one of these 16 stations, you have a marketing story that didn't exist before. The commute story has changed. A buyer who works downtown can now seriously consider your home if they want to be car independent. That expands your buyer pool that can bring better offers. The billions in private development along the corridor also means more retail, more dining, more walkability coming to these areas. That adds value to nearby homes, completely separate from the ridership. When I'm listing homes near one of these stations, and we have one coming on the market right now in St. Louis Park, I'm going to market that proximity specifically because that's a feature. So make sure you're working with someone who knows how to use it. Most agents in this market aren't doing that yet. The most expensive project in Minnesota history is opening at some point. Whether you want it or not, whether it was worth it or not, people will debate for decades. The real estate market along these stations is already responding. Understanding that before the trains start running is the whole edge. If you're buying or selling near this corridor and want real answers, not generic ones, click on the link in the description down below and fill out the form. We work with clients in these communities every day. Let's figure out what this means for your situation. If you want to hear what someone who spent their whole entire life in Minneapolis actually thinks about living here, the good, the bad, and the stuff the tourism board leaves out, I've linked that video right here. That's all I've got for you today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video and at the next house.